All right, Jimmy, you're forgiven. You're forgiven for making Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Because I just got to see A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie, which was, of course, directed by James Mangold, a.k.a. Jimmy Mangold, a.k.a. the director of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and a bunch of other movies that are actually pretty good. Let's be fair to James Mangold. He didn't just make that stinker. He made a lot of great films like Logan and like Ford v Ferrari and, of course, the other big musical biopic, Walk the Line, which is the Johnny Cash movie. Now, this is the movie about Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, who is a very interesting figure in the world, in sort of celebrityism and sort of music. He's this guy who's a very weird, unconventional dude, so I always thought it would be kind of a tough task to make a biopic about him. But James Mangold has taken on the challenge, and he has made this movie starring Timothée Chalamet and a bunch of other great people, and made this really big and epic 2-hour and 20-minute long sort of odyssey about Bob Dylan. And I am happy and shocked to say this is one of the best musical biopics of all time, and it's one of the best movies of the year. Now, I didn't expect much going into this. You know what you're kind of getting out of all these musical biopics, and we've gotten a bunch of them over the years. This year alone, we had, like, the Bob Marley one. Now we have the Bob Dylan one. Next year, we're getting a Michael Jackson one. You know what you kind of get. These movies are essentially jukebox musicals, right? You have the actors, they get famous, and you see how they make their big songs, and you listen to them in the theaters, and you sing along, and you get all excited. It's the same formula. And this movie is generic in that way. It does do all of that. You get this version of Bob Dylan, seeing him become famous, seeing him play his classic music. And yeah, so where does this movie differ itself? Why is it so much better? Well, it's in its character work. Not only its character work, but its sort of portrayal of the characters, the world, the industry, and the performances as a whole. This movie is not a cookie-cutter, glorified version of these characters' lives, of Bob Dylan's life, like something like Bohemian Rhapsody was, where that film felt almost like a fairy tale. This movie feels like high-end cinema, high-end filmmaking. First off, you have Timothée Chalamet giving a performance that is well worthy of Oscars and awards consideration. Will he win it? I don't know. Adrian Brody was really damn good in The Brutalist. It's a very competitive year in that category. But this is the best performance of Timothée Chalamet's career. He is transcendent as Bob Dylan. In the trailers for this film, I really thought he kind of looked a little gimmicky as the character. He looked like Timothée Chalamet doing a Bob Dylan impression. But I'm happy to say that I was wrong on that assessment. He disappears into Bob Dylan. And both his ability to perform the songs and the voice, but just the mannerisms and the eyes, everything Timmy's bringing to this film is brilliant. He is so good in this movie, and well worth just going to see this film for. Ed Norton playing Pete Seeger is also a big surprise. Another great performance. One of the best of the year. I was shocked by how good Ed Norton is. I mean, he's always great in movies, but it just really caught me off guard how amazing he is in this film, and it reminded me of how much I love Ed Norton, and how he doesn't do enough movies, and when he is in movies, he just kind of steals the show. He's so excellent in this movie, kind of doing this Mr. Rogers type of thing, but I loved him so much here. You also have Ellie Fanning, who does a surprisingly amazing job playing this character that is so much more complex, right? This movie is very much about Bob Dylan and his relationships with people, not just people that he's in love with or may not be in love with, but music and how that differs. This sort of love triangle between Bob Dylan, music, and woman and people and friendship and all that stuff. And it is really complex in nature, and Ellie Fanning does a great job at selling a part of that. And this movie is true to its title, A Complete Unknown. Bob Dylan is this mysterious character. I'd always say this movie is kind of similar to 2019's Joker, Todd Phillips' one and only good Joker movie. He definitely didn't make a terrible sequel. In the sense that you're getting an origin story of Bob Dylan, but you're also not. Like, you don't really know anything about Bob Dylan. If you have no idea who Bob Dylan is, you've never, like, read anything about him, watching this movie, you're like, where does he come from? How did this guy get into music? The film doesn't really answer that. You kind of see him at a point in his life where he's breaking into the film industry, and he is kind of a complete unknown, and that makes the mystery of why he does certain things sort of heightened. He is kind of like the Joker of the music industry. It's bizarre in a weird way, but also so, like, just engaging. Like, it's so much fun to watch this character sort of go through the trials and tribulation of becoming a star and going through relationships and making new music and transcending genres. And James Mangold does a really good job of keeping this movie fast-paced. The pace never slows down. You're jumping from scene to scene. The direction is top-notch. The editing is really fast and good. The movie blends itself with the history. Like, there's a great scene with the Cuban Missile Crisis that I thought was really one of the best depictions of the Cuban Missile Crisis on screen I've ever seen. It was done extremely well. But it's a film that I just found to be thoroughly entertaining from start to finish. Even the usage of the music. I mean, even I was sitting in the theater, singing along. How does it feel? Like, I was jamming out, man. I love Bob Dylan. Also, I want to give a shout out to Boyd Holbrook, who plays Johnny Cash in this movie. Now, I don't know if this was meant to be Joaquin Phoenix coming back and doing a couple scenes here as a cameo, and Joaquin just didn't want to do it, but Boyd Holbrook is playing Johnny Cash here. for 2 scenes, and he's excellent. Now, I know we already have the Johnny Cash biopic, but let's remake it with Boyd Holbrook. Sign me up for 2 hours of that. My God, is he good in the little taste we get of Boyd Holbrook as Johnny Cash, and honestly almost stole the whole movie for me. How excellent and how committed he was to that character for like 2 scenes. Overall, I was thoroughly impressed with this movie. This movie reaffirmed to me how good of a filmmaker James Mangold is, despite the disaster that was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which just makes me think maybe Kathleen Kennedy is the main problem there at Lucasfilm. Because my God, James Mangold is a great filmmaker. The guy doesn't miss unless he's working with Kathleen Kennedy. Then he misses really bad. The Complete Unknown is one of the best musical biopics of all time. It's a movie that I can recommend to all of you to go check because it's one of the easiest films to watch with just about any sort of audience. Like, I feel like everybody will probably have a good time with this film. It's fun, it's fast-paced, it's really well performed by everybody involved. There's sing-along moments, there's dark moments, there's sad moments, there's funny moments. This movie has a little bit of everything. It's just a good film. And because of that, I'm going to give A Complete Unknown a 5 out of 5. Yeah, this is one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. What do you guys think of the movie? Let me know down below. What do you guys think of Bob Dylan? Let me know that down below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more notifications. I'll see you in the next one.